Are these the words of a desperate parent or someone with guilty knowledge?
How long will you keep searching?
Until my last breath. I'll never stop. I'll never stop searching for him.
Most people probably didn't catch what was said there, did you? Would you spot it in your everyday life? And we're back on the case of missing Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian's been missing for 2 years now. And we're going to be digging into a new interview with his mom, Katie. Now, some people are very suspicious of Katie, so do her words offer any clues as to what happened to Sebastian? By the end of this episode, I'll tell you why I think they do and what I think has happened to him. Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I've studied the words of thousands of criminals, and I know how they use words to lie, to cheat, and to manipulate. I also know what the truth sounds like too, and the word patterns you'll hear from Katie, you'll also hear from people that you speak to in your life. Once you know them, you won't stop hearing them. So, in this episode, I will show you why many are suspicious of her, how that comes out in her words, how little hope she seems to have in that she'll ever find Sebastian, and how the words and ideas that we repeat show what is on our minds. Let's have a listen to the first part of the interview. For me here, she makes it really clear what she thinks.
How long will you keep searching?
Until my last breath. I'll never stop. I'll never stop searching for him.
I feel like as a parent, a lot of times we have these other, intuitions, just different thoughts and feelings about what's going on. Do you have anything in your innermost thoughts that you think happened to him?
Truthfully, I think that there are different options based off of what we know and what we don't know. More particularly, what we don't know is what makes it more difficult to do that. But all I can say is that I feel like he is out there, and that is my main hope, that him being out there means that he's alive and that he can come home when we find him.
So, did you catch it there? At the very beginning of that, how long will you keep searching? And Katie says, until my last breath. I'll never stop. I'll never stop searching for him. Huge red flag, because it says in her own thought process, in her words, that she doesn't think the search for Sebastian will ever stop. In other words, she has no hope that Sebastian is going to be found. Think about when you lose something, when you lost your keys. Did you say, I'm going to keep looking for them until I find them? Probably. You certainly didn't say, I'm never going to stop looking for them, because at some point, you will find them or you'll give up. But here, until my last breath, she believes she's going to be dead, in her own words, before Sebastian is found. I'll never stop searching for him. Now, that doesn't automatically mean, woof, we've got a big guilty person here. It means 2 years on, in her mind, for some reason, she doesn't think there is any chance of Sebastian being found. It's there in black and white inside Katie's words. Her hopes of finding Sebastian are very, very low. The next question doesn't offer a lot of reassurance either, and it's about intuitions. I feel like as a parent, we have intuitions, different thoughts and feelings about what's going on. Do you have anything in your innermost thoughts you think happened to him? And Katie says, truthfully, I think there are different options. That's how she starts her answer. Now, truthfully, why they need to tell us she's being truthful? Why they need to say truthfully? You know, truthful people don't feel the need to point out that they're being honest and telling us the truth. They just tell us the truth. That's how truthful people tend to speak. But for some reason, Katie feels the need to fly a flag saying, I'm being truthful here. And she's flagging that by saying, truthfully. She says, I think there are different options based on what we know and what we don't know. Different options. It's like a menu here. It really is. Rather than giving us, the question is, what's your gut instinct? What is your gut telling you has gone on here? And she doesn't want to share that gut instinct with us for some reason. Now, I said, Katie's words make people suspicious. And whether people consciously realise this or not, they see she's not answering the question here. What do you think's happened to him? She says, I don't know. And then she gives an explanation as to why she doesn't know. And she says there are options. Her gut instinct isn't an option. Her gut instinct is just one thing. But she's talking about her options based off of what we know and what we don't know. More particularly, what we don't know is what makes it more difficult to do that. That is not what she's been asked about. That is not intuition that she is explaining here. The question is about intuition, and instead she's kind of given across this, I don't know, and here's all the reasons why I don't know. It's an explanation as to why she can't answer the question. It's not an answer to the question. I think it could be fair to say maybe in her heart of hearts she thinks something bad has happened and she doesn't want to say that out loud because it might seem disloyal or it might make her look untrustworthy or something like that. And she wants to try in this interview to give a positive impression. Maybe she thinks the more positive she is, the more help that will come in. But whatever the reason is, she's not sharing her intuition. She carries on and says, but all I can say is that I feel that he is out there. Now, all I can say, that's not all I know, you'll notice. That's just all I can say. Words there that suggest that someone is holding something back inside them, which is very much the vibe I get from this answer, is that she's not sharing her full thoughts with her. All I can say, meaning there is more, but she's not going to say it, is I feel like he is out there. Now, I am very big with Katie on the things that she repeats. I've looked at a lot of her interviews over the 2 years, and Sebastian being out there is something she says a lot, and always in those words, or words very close to out there. It's not Sebastian is somewhere, which is another form that would be entirely relevant and allowed here. It's the fact that he's out there. And that to me is the wording you'd use when you know that someone is out in the big wide world, in the open as well. You know, someone is at home or somewhere safe. Do you use the word out there or would you say somewhere? So out there suggests to me that in her head, in her belief system, for whatever reason, Sebastian is outside, out of doors for some reason. That is my main hope. That him being out there, again, out there, means that he's alive and that he can come home when we find him. Now, there's an interesting one there. It means that he can come home is great. That's talking about him coming home, but only when he is found. Not that Sebastian has left of his own beliefs or, you know, of his own want and will come back one day when he's ready to come back. That doesn't enter into her head at all. It is that he will only come home when he is found. You can read a lot of things into that, as in he's out there in that big wide open and unable to come back on his own. I think you know where I'm going with on that one. Or that it is that he will come home when we find him, so he has to be found. He doesn't want to come home. It's only when they find him that he will want to come home. But whatever, again, in her mindset is the fact that Sebastian is not coming home under his own steam, if you like. She doesn't think that one day Sebastian's going to wake up and think, tell you what, I'll go and see my mom. That doesn't enter into her head at all. So in this first part here, there's no hope that he'll be found in her thinking, in her words. It's exactly in her words. There is no answer to the intuition question. We've all got intuition and gut feelings about things, especially things as important as this. And for some reason, she doesn't want to share hers. She just wants to give some sort of explanation as to why she's not really sure. And we see the first mention of the out there concept, the concept that Sebastian is out there. Let's listen to some more from Katie now. And listen, do her words here point to some sort of hidden motive?
And I need to bring this up, and that's just, this is an opportunity to also respond to people, because there are always people who are going to point the finger back at the people closest to them. That always happens. What do you say to them?
I would say that we love Sebastian, we care about Sebastian, I love Sebastian, and that I am doing everything I can to bring him home and to find him. And vigilante justice doesn't help. Threats don't help. And that Sebastian deserves to come home in a world where he doesn't see some of the ugliness that's going on. because when he comes home, he will see that too. And I would ask that people take that into consideration, that he doesn't deserve any of it either.
And you and your husband had nothing to do
No.
with his disappearance?
No, we did not.
The question is put to her there that there are people who are going to point the finger back at the people closest to them, i.e. people are blaming you, Katie. That always happens. What do you say to them? And Katie says, nothing for a bit. She takes a big, long pause. And she says, I would say that we love Sebastian. We care about Sebastian. I love Sebastian. Now, that's not a denial that they had anything to do with Sebastian's disappearance. In fact, people hurt people they love often. You know, what is the most dangerous thing to a woman? It's her partner who supposedly loves her. So saying we love Sebastian really, really is not a denial. It's just a fact. I'm also interested in the split in pronouns there. I would say that we love Sebastian. We care about Sebastian. I love Sebastian. Now, if she is part of we, then she's already said I love Sebastian as part of that. So why does she feel the need to restate it separately? I don't know who she meant by we. Is it her and her partner, a wider family or something like that? But she wants to make it very clear that she loves Sebastian. But first time she said we love Sebastian. But listen, that we love Sebastian is not a denial. So these people pointing the finger, we love Sebastian is all she says. And that I'm doing everything I can to bring him home and to find him. And vigilante justice doesn't help. Threats don't help. Well, again, doing everything you can to bring him home and find him is not that you didn't do it, that you didn't make him disappear in the first place for whatever reason, under whatever method. Very curious non-denial here of saying to these people, you're looking in the wrong place. You know, we're as mystified as you, or we had nothing to do with it. That's not what she goes to first in her words. What do you say to people that are blaming you? We love him and we're trying to find him. Well, that's not proof. It's actually quite weak. And I'm doing everything I can to bring him home. So we've got this thought again of him being brought home, that he's not going to come back under his own steam, out of his own choice, and to find him. She messes up there. I don't know whether it's just a misspeak, but previously she said to find him and bring him home. This time it's bring him home as the first thing, finding him as the second thing. You can't bring him home unless you found him. Now, this one's interesting. Vigilante justice doesn't help. Not vigilantes or so-called vigilantes don't help, but she talks about what the vigilantes are doing as justice, i.e. Getting rights for wrongs. Interesting way of thinking about these people that are calling you and blaming you, saying they are people who are doing vigilante justice. That justice suggests they are right. The vigilante is maybe they're going around it the wrong way, but vigilante justice is an interesting term to use for people who are supposedly in the wrong about what you've done. Then she goes on and says, and that Sebastian deserves to come home in a world where he doesn't see some of the ugliness that's going on, because when he comes home, he will see that too. And I would ask people to take that into consideration, that he doesn't deserve any of it either. So she does have, again, this sense of Sebastian coming home, and maybe a little bit more hopeful that he's coming home than some of the other things we've said. I also think that what she's doing there is a little bit of a manipulative tactic of, if you have a go at us, you're going to be hurting Sebastian, the person that the vigilantes or the people pointing the fingers say they care about. So it's kind of like, back off on us because you're having a go at Sebastian too with that. Still though, no denial there. And then the interviewer puts the big question to her, and her answer here, makes me interested. And you and your husband had nothing to do, starts the interviewer, and Katie interrupts and says no. Before she's even heard the question, she has decided that she is going to give the answer. Now, sometimes people who are desperate to answer a question will interrupt without listening to the full question. And therefore, that means that what they're saying is more of an automatic response rather than a natural response, rather than letting the whole question sit and come out and then answering the question and dealing with the words that they've heard. This is an automatic response that she cannot wait to get out, so desperate to say no to this that she interrupts halfway through. You and your husband had nothing to do, no, with his disappearance, and she deals with it again and she says, no, We did not. Now, we do have a no there. It's a yes-no question, and she does say no. But also we have we did not we didn't. And if you listen to Katie talking, go back and listen to that part again and you'll hear her use words like doesn't and so on. But here we have did not, which is the more formal term. Sometimes when people are lying, they will stop those contracted words like didn't, don't, wouldn't, and say the more formal term: do not, did not, would not, should not, because they think it makes them sound more serious, more believable, and more credible. Is that what's going on here? Is that why she is using those more formal words? So in that section there is a real lack of solid denial to the accusations that are being put to her that she is involved in some way with Sebastian's disappearance. She just can't say straightforwardly no. And vigilante justice, boy, that stood out for me. Now, I talked about people having prepared automated answers ready. We're about to hear one here because I think what happens, she's asked a question and she answers a completely different question. I think she uses an answer that she'd prepared ahead of this interview. It's completely the wrong place to use it, but I think that's what's going on here. Just have a listen.
What would you say to him if he were to walk through that door?
I would tell him that we love you. I would tell him that we miss you so very much. I would tell him to stay strong. I would tell him to hang in there, and that if he ever had the opportunity to reach out and get a safe adult and, call 911 if you have to, that we're looking and we're never going to stop looking, and that I pray that he's okay, and that everyone at home loves you, Sebastian, and everyone wants you to come home, and we're here.
What would you say to him if you were to walk through that door, is the question she was asked at the start there. And it sounds to me like she doesn't answer that question. She says the answer to the question instead, something like, what would you say if he's watching this? Which is one of the tropes of the interviews of those close to missing people. You know, if Sebastian can see this right now, what would you say to him? And it's as if she's got an answer prepared for that question, which is not a bad thing to do. It's a likely question. However, it doesn't answer the question she was actually asked, which was, what would you say to him if you were to walk through that door? We miss you so much. I would stay strong. Well, those are not things you would say if Sebastian came back through the door, are they? So she's not certainly prepared an answer to the question, what would you say if Sebastian came back? Which might be quite telling. Anyway, Katie's answer to the question, such as it is I would tell him that we love you. I would tell him that we love you. Who's we again? Is it the family? Well, we'll come on to that a little bit later on. But saying to Sebastian that everyone loves you is another repeated theme through this interview and through other interviews I've seen from Katie, which makes me think there some issue before Sebastian disappeared about him not feeling loved or even him not being loved, because that's why, and is that why, she has to keep reinforcing that Sebastian is loved. I would tell him that we love you, not I would tell him I love you. I would tell him that we miss you so very much. I would tell him to stay strong, is this strange answer. I would tell him to hang in there, and if he ever had the opportunity to reach out and get a safe adult and, call 911 if you have to. So again, this just makes no sense if he's just walked through the door. It's the answer to a completely different question that she hasn't been asked. I would tell him to get a safe adult, is what she said, which introduces the fact that there were unsafe adults around. And for some reason, she thinks that Sebastian might be in contact with an unsafe adult, or may chance upon an unsafe adult, or that she doesn't trust some of the adults that have been around Sebastian at some time. And that's why in her wording here, a safe adult is needed. Call 911 if you have to, and that we're looking and we're never going to stop looking. So we have, again, this looking for him. Again, he is out there and we're never going to stop looking. Once more, we're never going to stop looking until we find you. It's just we are never going to stop looking. So for me, again, these are wordings that make me think that for whatever reason in her head, the chances of seeing Sebastian again are very, very low, if not non-existent. And I pray that he's okay and that everyone at home loves you. Now, this is what she says a lot. Everyone loves you. And I think the need for her to say that suggests to me that before Sebastian went missing, lack of love was a theme around Sebastian. Whether that was real lack of love, like neglect or something like that, or on behalf of I don't know who, whether that was some real issues inside the family with, I don't know, siblings, cousins, grandparents, in-laws, I don't know, but it's as if there was some issue there, and she feels the need to say, look, it was just a small issue. Everyone at home loves you, and it's everyone at home loves you. It's not everyone just in that sense of you are loved by everyone. Everyone at home loves you, Sebastian, and everyone wants you to come home. Did someone in the whole family unit or at home, in her words, not love Sebastian, or did Sebastian not feel loved by everyone before he went missing? I think that's really, really possible. And we're here, is what she said. So here, evidence of a prepared answer. So she really has thought hard about some of the things that she's going to say in this interview. The repetition of the never going to stop idea is there again. I think really low confidence of ever seeing the guy again. And the hints here for me that this everyone may be connected to the disappearance. Someone within this group of everyone at home is connected to the disappearance in some way. We are going to hear more from Katie Proudfoot's new interview very shortly. Now, if this kind of breakdown is useful to you, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, because what I teach here is not just about one video, one phrase, one technique that people use. It's a skill, and the more you're exposed to listening to these patterns, the more naturally you'll start to hear them in your real life. People say after a while, they cannot unhear the stuff they learn here. Conversations start to sound different to people, messages, emails, and so on. They read differently, and most importantly, you'll notice things earlier, and that can change how you respond. And if you want to help spread the word here, liking this video, sharing it with other people who are interested in Sebastian's story really does matter. It tells the platform that this kind of content is worth sharing to more people, and it helps get these ideas in front of more people who genuinely need them. Let's go back to the interview with Katie Proudfoot now. And it's the second anniversary, around the second anniversary of Sebastian's disappearance when she was being interviewed. And is this an answer with any kind of commitment to it?
It's now two years this week since Sebastian's disappearance. What feels different about this anniversary than the first?
Well, first, I don't particularly consider it more of an anniversary, because in my mind an anniversary is something worth celebrating, and this is anything but that. Truthfully, every day hurts the same. I mean, it doesn't get any better. I know that there are many people out there that are still helping to share his flyer and whatnot. We continue to ask people to do that. We continue to ask people to just stay aware, keep aware of your surroundings, that type of thing. But as far as different, it's the same. It's the same pain. It's the same absence.
Yeah. What feels different about this anniversary than the first? Katie says, well, first, I don't particularly consider it more of an anniversary, because in my mind, an anniversary is something that's worth celebrating, and this is anything but that. And just very interesting that when she's asked, how does this 2-year anniversary of the disappearance of your son feel? Her mind goes to celebrating first. She says it's not more about celebrating, but she doesn't frame it as in, it's not very happy for me. She talks about celebrating first, which is a strange way to go. The first things we mentioned, they're the things in our head. Even if we tell you something is not happening, like, you know, the person that says, I'm not angry, when they are angry. That's like the person that would go, I'm calm. They are calm. But the person who says, I'm not angry, they are angry and not worth celebrating. Celebrating was the first concept that came to her mind when asked this question. Interesting to me. This is anything but that. Truthfully, every day hurts the same. Truthfully, again, she is trying to persuade us that she's being honest for some reason. I mean, it doesn't get any better. And again, the focus is on getting better, not getting worse or being horrible or anything like that. So as much as she wants to give the impression this is a downbeat answer, she's talked about celebrating and she's talked about getting better. I know there are still many people out there that are still helping share his flyer and whatnot. And I asked you, was this a committed answer? So thank you to all those people who are still working 2 years on to try and find Sebastian and raise awareness so that Sebastian can be found. They are, in Katie's words, sharing his flyer and whatnot. That doesn't sound that great. It doesn't sound that committed to the work that they're doing. And we continue to ask people to do that. So if you are, please continue doing whatnot. We continue to ask people to, and she has to, because she's not entirely sure what she's continuing to ask people to do. She has to go and find the words from somewhere, hence why she pauses and does that. So all these efforts to find Sebastian, they seem to be like something she has to dredge up from like the very recesses of her mind. So we continue to ask people to just stay aware of what? Keep aware of your surroundings. Why? That type of thing. So there you go. You're doing whatnot and you're doing that type of thing. If you are out there still helping to share his flyer and whatnot and doing that type of thing. Now I get what she wants to say is stay aware. Keep his memory there, keep his image there so that if you do see him, you may recognize him. Keep aware of your surroundings because one day you might see him. That's the impression that she wants to get, but she doesn't have the words to say that. All you got to do is whatnot. Just stay aware of something and aware of your surroundings, that type of thing. She's not very committed to that search effort whatsoever. But as far as different, it's the same. It's the same pain, it's the same absence, and it drifts away massively there. It really, really does, as if she just runs out of steam and talking about this in any way whatsoever. So in that answer, she is not solid at all on what others can do. It seems to be a very distant, remote thought somewhere way over there that she has to go and drag from the recesses of her mind to find the words to talk about it. And as well, her concern is for herself, not Sebastian. Did you notice in all of that? It was how hard it was for her and not the guy who maybe abducted, has run away and is living homeless. Like no concern whatsoever for Sebastian there on the second anniversary there. Now, more patterns for us to keep watching for here. We have hope, but also do we have concern in this next part?
Describe what it's like to live with so much uncertainty, trying to figure out where he is, if he's okay.
Awful. It's horrible, honestly. I don't have a way of knowing if he is okay, of knowing if Sebastian is safe, of if he's being cared for, and where he is. And it's something that I don't think that I will ever be okay or be used to until we get answers, until we find him, because that, the best way I can describe it is a gaping hole in my heart and in my home and in my family.
In your mama's heart, do you see him coming home? That he's okay, he's alive, he's returning?
I do, and that honestly keeps me going every day. The thought of knowing that my son is out there somewhere and that none of us are going to stop searching until we find him and bring him home. But the thing that really and truly keeps me going every day is knowing that one day we are going to find Sebastian and we're going to bring him home one way or another.
Describe what it's like to live with so much uncertainty, trying to figure out where he is, if he's okay. Strange answer coming up once more. Katie says, awful. It's horrible, honestly. We have another flag of her saying, I'm being honest here. I don't have a way of knowing if he's okay, of knowing if Sebastian is safe, if he's being cared for, and where he is. Now, you might think this is a concern, Mum, but who's the concern for here? Is it concern for Sebastian or is it the concern for her? Because in her words, it's her. It's horrible because she has no way of knowing if he's okay or if he's safe or if he's being cared for or where he is. Because she could have said this without this strange way of knowing in the middle of it. I don't know if he's safe, if he's being cared for, where he is. I worry terribly about Sebastian as a person. But no, her concern is for herself because she has no way of knowing these things. It's a strange way of answering. It's very distant. The concern for Sebastian is not there whatsoever. What is bad for her is she has no way of knowing about these things. And it's something that I don't think I will ever be okay or used to until we get answers, until we find him. Answers comes before find him. You notice there, the thing we say first when we do a list tends to be the priority, the thing that just shoots off the top of our mind because it's really easy and it's right up there at the top of our mind. And then there are lower priorities are things that come later out of our mind. So getting answers first until we find him. And we have that thought again that he's going to be found, not that he's going to come home under his own steam. Because that, the best way I can describe it is a gaping hole in my heart, in my home and in my family. In your mama's heart, do you see him coming home, that he's okay, that he's alive, he's returning? I do, says Katie. And that honestly keeps me going every day. Again, flagging up the honesty. Why the need to tell us when she is being honest? Why not just be honest and just let the words talk for themselves? The thought of knowing that my son is out there somewhere. Now, the thought of knowing that my son is out there somewhere, not knowing that my son is out there, but the thought of it, of my son is out there somewhere, and that none of us are going to stop searching until we find him and bring him home. Now, this is such slightly different that finally the search will never stop and go on until her last breath. This is the one time in that entire interview I could find her saying that we will stop searching when we find him. But again, it is find him. Now, let's just look at the contradiction that is there. Because at the very beginning there, she said, I don't have a way of knowing if he's okay, knowing he's safe, if he's being cared for, where he is. But then when she is asked, do you think he's alive? She says, I do. And that keeps me going. I know that he's out there somewhere. We will bring him home. 15 minutes ago, she didn't know anything, but now she's knowing that my son is out there somewhere. So we've got a bit of a contradiction there of her saying, I don't know anything and it's horrible. And also, I do know that he's out there somewhere, and that keeps me going. But the thing that really and truly keeps me going every day is knowing that one day we are going to find Sebastian and we're going to bring him home one way or another. So we've got once more this flag of honesty, the thing that really and truly keeps me going. This is the second or third time she's used this really, truly and honestly ahead of something that is a positive thought. Keeps me going every day is knowing that one day we are going to find Sebastian, and there's the pattern again, and we are going to bring him home. There's the pattern again, and one way or another, that all sounds like it could end up being a bit bleak. So here, we've got those contradictions. So what she's saying to me doesn't feel authentic. It's as if she's like working quite hard on finding the right words. And the focus is on that she doesn't know he's safe. It focuses on her and what she doesn't know, not the fact that Sebastian might not be safe. Now, we've got one more part to listen to from Katie, and it's a classic of missing people because we listen for the tenses with which they refer to the missing person. Don Wells is famous for this. Don Wells even said sometimes, I know I get in a lot of trouble for talking about summer in the past tense, because he did talk about summer in the past tense as if summer was in the past, was not in the present, as if summer was gone. I've spotted Katie talking in the past tense before, but on this one, the tenses get wild. Have a listen.
Let's remind our viewers, remind folks about Sebastian, about who he really is. Not just this case, but about him.
Oh, Sebastian is 15 when he went missing, 17 now. But he has just this beautiful smile. I mean, he's just got a big grin, and he's got a goofy sense of humor, and he loves being helpful, and he enjoys playing video games and building things. I think one of the most recent things we did was that crane that I had shown a while back, but we loved making those little projects, like the Lowe's and Home Depot projects and building, and he would always get so excited swinging the hammer, or even so far as building a deck with his stepdad, and being just so proud of himself for those little accomplishments and making something. Typical teenager, though. I mean, he had his days where he was just grumpy and leave me alone and being in his room, but for the most part, he wanted to be a social butterfly. Sometimes he'd struggle making friends with like personal space and things like that, but overall he is just usually a very happy young man, and he loves animals. Cats particularly are his favorite animal in the world. Green is his favorite color, and he loved getting out and doing things with us, going bowling and going out. We used to go hiking a lot, and we'd hike to, like when we lived in California, there were waterfalls and whatnot that we used to go hiking to, and he would get so excited at the end. Just we'd make little videos showing how far we'd come and whatnot, but just a good kid overall.
Right. What did you spot in the tenses there? Because I got a lot. But I'm going to draw you to the question first of all. Remind folks about Sebastian, about who he really is, not just this case, but about him. And the interviewer uses the present tense in the question, who he really is. And we, when we're talking to someone, will pick up so much in our, from the question and reflect it back in our answers. Words, concepts, ideas, we will do that. We've got to make sure when we're analysing someone's words that we might think something is a bit strange, and actually it's come from the question that's been asked. And is that what's happening here? Because the question is asked in the present tense about who he really is. And Katie says, oh, Sebastian, and then she giggles. And then she says, is 15. Now, if she said was 15, I'd probably be going, you used the past tense. This means the person's in the past. However, is 15 is not right either, because it's 2 years on. He's 17 now, if he's still with us. So Sebastian was 15 when he went missing. 17 now would be correct. But she says Sebastian is 15 when he went missing. 17 now. And then she does something really interesting, and I went back and listened to this time and time again to make sure I got it right. But he'd, which is in the past tense, he'd has just this beautiful smile, has in the present tense, as if she realised, use the past tense there, use the present tense, but he'd has just this beautiful smile. I mean, he's just got a big grin, and he's got a goofy sense of humour. That's present tense. He's got a goofy sense of humour, and he loves being helpful, and he enjoys playing video games and building things. I think one of the most recent things we did was that crane that I had shown a while back, but we loved making those little projects like the Lowe's and Home Depot projects and building, and we've got loved in the past tense now. Now, 2 years on, she hasn't done anything with Sebastian recently. I understand why loved would be in the past tense there, because they haven't done anything that would be in the present tense, and a lot can happen in 2 years to change what the present is there. And he would always get excited swinging the hammer, or even so far as building a deck with his stepdad, and just being so proud of himself for those little accomplishments and making something. So we're still in the past tense. I'm still kind of all right with it. She says, typical teenager though. I mean, he had his days where he was just grumpy and leave me alone and being in his room. Now, every time I see Katie talking about Sebastian, she's never far away when she talks about the kind of person he was from talking about his bad points. Now, that might just be truthful. We all have bad points, even me. We all have bad points that people will know about, but she's never far from talking about them, which makes me think that Sebastian was, to them, difficult at times. And this does sound difficult. Typical teenager. Teenagers are difficult, where he was being grumpy and leave me alone and being in his room. Leave me alone is suggesting that he likes, his own space, to be on his own. It's also a thought of personal space, leave me alone, which is something that comes up later. But for the most part, he wanted to be a social butterfly. Now, this is really qualified. For the most part, so not all the time, he wanted to be a social butterfly. Not he was a social butterfly. He wanted to be a social butterfly. butterfly. I don't think there was that much socializing going on in his life. Sorry, I just think that's the way that he was from the words. Sometimes he'd struggle making friends with personal space and things like that. So the social butterfly is a phrase that's out there, but there's no descriptiveness around the social butterfly at all. Instead, we get a lot more descriptive about the grumpy teenager, leave me alone, and being in his room. And sometimes he'd struggle making friends with personal space and things like that. But overall, he is just usually a very happy young man. He is, so we've got the present tense there, which then puts me slightly at odds with why does the present tense come in now, but we've got some past tense for some other things, like he had his days where he was just grumpy, which is in the past tense. For the most part, he wanted to be a social butterfly is in the past tense. He is just usually a very happy young man. Usually a very happy young man. Again, I don't think he always was that happy. I think there was some issues there in her perception of Sebastian at the very least. I'm not trying to victim blame here. I'm just trying to pick out what I get in her words. And he loves animals, present tense. Cats particularly are his favourite animal in the world. Green is his favourite colour, and he loved getting out and doing things with us, going bowling and going out. So we've gone back into the past tense again. Green is his favourite colour, and he loved getting out and doing things with us. And we've got this sense of him going outdoors again. She loves talking about him being out there when he's missing, and when she describes what type of person he was, she loves saying he was outside a lot, as if he was at his happiest when he was outside. Is what's going on here. Look, he's outside now because he's missing, or he's, at one with nature or something like that. And he loved being outside. So reality is, whatever's happened to him, he's happy now. Is that why she keeps telling us how much he enjoyed the outdoors? We used to go hiking a lot, and we'd hike to, like when we lived in California, there were waterfalls and whatnot that we used to go hiking to, and he would get so excited at the end, we'd make little videos showing how far we come and whatnot. But he was just a good kid overall. That's it. Overall. Again, when someone's just good overall, they've got some bad bits to them. And for some reason, those bad bits are quite high up in the list of attributes and behaviours that Sebastian exhibited that Katie talks about. Now, you know me, I'm all about the words. I think you've watched this episode, watched many episodes, you will know I am always about the words. But as I was doing this, I had to find a picture of Sebastian to use on the episode. And so I used Google Images, and I just searched in for Sebastian Rogers. And what do you know? For the social butterfly that loves being outdoors, the top pictures I could find, which are family provided pictures I could find, are Sebastian on his own, not surrounded by friends, not even surrounded by family. The pictures that are there are mostly of him on his own with his mom at the most. So the social butterfly thing is not coming through in the pictures, and they're all indoors. There's no pictures that I could find on the first couple of pages of Google image search that show Sebastian being a social butterfly with other people or being out of doors either. So that's my analysis there. The tenses feel off, although sometimes they are as they should be, sometimes they aren't, and he is 15 was just plain weird. And when she's describing what sort of person Sebastian is, we're never far away from the negatives. So, what do I think of that overall? I said look for the repeated themes there. The repeated words, the repeated ideas. That will tell you what's going on in someone's mind. It's what's top of their mind. It's a priority to them, and it will keep leaking out in their words. So looking at this interview and also my knowledge of other Katie interviews, things she keeps mentioning a lot. Sebastian's bad behaviour. It's never far away from being discussed when Sebastian's characteristics, what kind of person he was, are being discussed. They need to keep telling us that he loved being outdoors, and also that he's out there presently when he's missing. Always comes through in her words. The want to say that everyone loves you, Sebastian. This need to reassure Sebastian that everyone at home or everyone in the family loves him is really, really prevalent in her words, and also that I love him. So listen, from all those things, and also that fact that she is low on hope that Sebastian will ever return. I'm not accusing anyone here, but I believe Sebastian's disappearance was caused by his behaviour negatively affecting someone in the family. Like I said, no victim blaming here. This is just what I think has happened. And that behaviour, the falling out of that, he is no longer in the house. He is out there. He's out of doors. And I think it shows through in Katie's words that she knows this. What do you think? Let me know in the comments if you can, or you can go to neveratruerword.com where you will find a whole load of links, loads more on the Sebastian Rogers case and Katie Proudfoot's words as well. And by the way, this was suggested by someone in the Never a Truer Word Facebook group where we discuss the cases that I discuss in these episodes and other interesting words and statements as well. You will find a link to that at neveratruerword.com as well if you want to join. Neveratruerword.com. I'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word. And remember, the truth is always in the words.